Hey, it's Kevin Tolva with GigaOhm, and it's finally here! The iPad mini just arrived, and I'm actually surprised that it arrived since we just went through Hurricane Sandy. We had no power here in our house for the last 4 days, got power back late last night, and FedEx found a way to navigate through all the down trees and such to bring the iPad mini here today, so I'm very appreciative of that. Well, iPad mini, a smaller iPad, it's in a smaller box, obviously. Let's take it out and show you what it looks like. This is the $329 version that I bought. It's 16 gigabytes of memory, storage, and Wi-Fi only. So here it is. I'm a big fan of this form factor, having owned many 7-inch tablets like this Nexus 7 tablet, for example. You can see already that it's certainly wider due to the 4:3 aspect ratio. Let me just power it on for a second and give you a quick walkthrough. There it is. And I don't think I'd hold it this way all the time. I don't feel comfortable cupping my hand around the device all the time, so I'd probably hold it like this, but that's okay. We'll talk about the small bezels as well, because that is got some thumb rejection area in there. So let's pop that open. There you go. I mean, it looks just like a regular iPad, just smaller. Well, it looks as big as my head right now, but next to my head you can see it's smaller. Here is the full-size Retina display iPad, which I can't really hold with one hand that way. You get a feel for that. Get rid of the glare there. And I'll tell you what, the screen is obviously the #1 thing that people look at, and at 1024 by 768 resolution, the same as the iPad 1 and 2, it's not great, I'll be honest. I'm kind of spoiled by the Retina display iPad. But I will say this, even though it's the same resolution on the iPad mini that we had on the iPad 1 and 2, it actually does look better than those. Let me explain why. If you have 1024 pixels by 768 pixels, well, the math is the same. You can multiply those out, and that's how many pixels are showing on the screen. When you compress the number of pixels, they're the same pixels, into a smaller screen, you have higher pixel density, so that everything looks a little bit clearer. So I'd say this looks better than iPad 1 and 2, obviously not as good as the Retina iPad. I've been using it for a little bit now, and it's usable. I mean, I'm not complaining about it, and I'm getting used to it already. I can certainly see some pixels and such. I don't know if I can zoom in enough so that you can really see that, but like the words underneath, you might be able to make out some individual pixels and such, but you know, it is less expensive, so that's the only thing I can say, and it is usable. So you've got an eyesight camera on the front, you've got the 7.9-inch display here, you've got the home button just like on the regular iPad, and you get these really thin bezels that there's apparently some thumb rejection software, so that way if I put my thumb right here on the bezel, I can still do things, and it's not actually using my thumb over here as input. So I found that hit or miss so far. It may be certain apps and scenarios where it works better or worse. I don't know. I'm going to have to play with that. So let's see what else. I'll give you a quick walk around here. On the bottom we have 2 speaker grills and the lightning adapter dock. 2 speaker grills because you actually do have 2 speakers in here, and I believe this is the first iOS device with 2 speakers inside it. Nothing on the right hand side. You can obviously see how thin this is too. I mean, it's just super thin. Reminds me of the new iPod Touch in the look and feel, just bigger obviously. Microphone port up top so you can talk on FaceTime or Skype and so on. And then you've got the headphone jack up here, and again you can see how thin the device is based on the size of that headphone jack there. Right hand side, same controls as your regular iPad. You've got a little mute switch which can be used for lock orientation, I believe, and then you've got your up and down volume right here. And on the back side you've got your 5 megapixel camera, and that's really about it. Nice smooth feel, again very much like the new iPod Touch. Go look at that device and it's just a smaller version of this, or this is a bigger version of that, depending on how you're looking at it. Camera's actually not too bad. Let me show you a couple photos I've taken. Because we had some storm damage, I just used this to take a picture of the roof of our house where we've lost some shingles, and you can see I've got that tarped right there. Photo does not look too bad at all. This was decent light, a little overcast today. I took a picture of the keyboard on my Samsung Google Chromebook, and that looks pretty nice. You can zoom in and you lose a little bit of clarity, but it's really not that bad at all. Not that bad at all. And in fact, I can even read what's on the screen with no problem here once I zoom in. And I did the same thing here, just a full shot of the device. And again, just to see, whoops, if I could read, I certainly can read what's on my screen there. So not too shabby there for the camera. Let's see, videos. I am an avid Clone Wars watcher, no judging now. So I wanted to see how this looked, since I watched a lot of episodes that I downloaded during the storm or before the storm on the Retina display, and I loved it. How is it here? It's actually not too bad. Let's see if I can do this without glare. It's kind of hard.
We're back, General. Good. The show is about to begin.
Looks pretty good.
How's that cannon coming, boys? Well, then.
Alright, I'll get sucked into that, so I'm going to stop right now. So that looks pretty good. I did go to YouTube. I watched an HD movie trailer, and let me see if I still have that fired up here. I don't, but let me see if I can go back, because I know I had it. Yeah, I do have it. So the Good Day to Die Hard official HD trailer, YouTube actually starts playing it in lower resolution. It must be checking the screen display, but I bumped it up to 720. Let's turn this down here, and we'll go full screen. And here, this is YouTube HD video. Looks fine, no jumpiness, no choppiness. It's definitely clearer than the lower resolution one. Not gonna look quite as good as if I had a true HD display here, same like what I have on my Nexus 7. But it's definitely nice for consumption content, or consuming content, you know, while holding it in your hand. Not too shabby. Another site I go to a lot is the New York Times. I do that because there's a lot of text, there's a lot of images, and I cannot read the text on the New York Times website on an iPhone or an iPod Touch. I have to zoom in. Turns out you can do it here. It's actually not too bad, even though you don't have a Retina display. At the same time, I'm going to show you the keyboard. I think it's awesome, to be quite honest. It's just sized perfectly for my small hands. You could go landscape, of course. I feel like I've got to stretch that way. But if I go in portrait, I can just crank out what I need to and be on my way. It's just like any of my 7-inch tablets. It's all right there. It's 2 thumbs. It just works out really well for me. All right, we're going to the New York Times on Wi-Fi. Aren't we? It's thinking. It's thinking. I know a lot of people already said they don't like the keyboard. It seems too cramped. My definition of a tablet is you need 2 hands to use it. So I don't know if they're trying to reach with 1 hand while they're holding or they're tapping this way, but I think it's perfectly sized. So the New York Times page choked, so I don't know if that's my Wi-Fi or what. But while that's loading up, I'll just tell you what else is in the box. Not too much. You get your USB to Lightning adapter, and you get a plug, and that's it. There's no headphones in here. That's kind of a bummer. Alright, so why is the New York Times not coming through? I was on it earlier, and I really wanted to show it to you. Alright, you're going to have to suffer with Giga Omed, just to get a feel for the text and such. But it's not doing that either. Well, I don't know what the deal is. I'm stuck on YouTube and it's just kind of loading. Weird. Probably my Wi-Fi, because I can't see what else would be causing it. Well, in any case, I mean, I guess for now you'll have to take my word for it. You can read the New York Times with just holding this. It's a nice device to just sit, hold, and read or consume content. Will you use this maybe with a keyboard and try and be productive? You can run all the productivity apps here, but I think when you get down to a smaller screen, you become less productive. There's certain things you can do on a smartphone that work, but would work better on, say, a 7 or 8-inch tablet. And again, those things would work even better on a 9.7-inch tablet. So if you're thinking laptop replacement productivity, I'd probably go with full-size iPad. If you're thinking something to take along with you to read books, watch movies and such, I'm thinking iPad mini is the way to go. So that's my first impressions. I'll have more in a full review. So far, I'm really liking it, but then again, I'm pretty partial to the form factor. I wanted Apple to do this 2 years ago, so glad to see it now. I'm sure this will evolve over time. We'll get a better display, better processor, and so on. But for now, it's actually quite nice.